Hello class 10 students, let's see what the poem Fog is about. But before you watch today's video, please subscribe to the channel so that you get updated when a new video is uploaded. Let's get started. The poet employs a double image. The fog is converted into a cat and the cat morphs back into the fog. The arrival of the fog is silent and sudden. It comes as if from nowhere. Its arrival is like a small cat. It sits and stays for a while. It engulfs everything in its all-embracing fold. It spreads its fold everywhere from the harbor to the city. It sits silently as a cat sits on its The fog stays, but not for long. A cat never stays at one place for a long time, so the fog moves ahead, no one knows where. The poet describes the raw aspect of nature, the all-embracing and prevailing fog. Its silent power is felt everywhere from the harbor to the city. Now, let's look at the mind map of the poem Fog. The first is theme. Nature, change, hope, betterment, difficulties that are temporary form the theme of the poem. The setting of the poem is nature, that is a foggy street in London. The message conveyed in the poem Fog is, change is a part and parcel of our lives. We should learn how to live with the change and never take things for granted as they are not permanent. The central idea of the poem is, the poet has used nature interestingly and beautifully, describing fog as a natural phenomenon. Silent and imperceptible appearance and disappearance of the fog is compared to a cat's that draws our immediate attention to the temporary problems we humans encounter and face them courageously to see their exit. Now there are three characters in the poem: fog, cat, and nature. Now let's look at the character traits. Let's look at the character trait of fog or cat first. Powerful, silent, alive, temporary, quiet, motivating, and overpowering for fog. Now let's look at the character traits of nature. Wonderful, beautiful, mysterious, fascinating, and natural. The problem in the poem is man's attitude on encountering difficulties in life, where a feeling of hopelessness creeps in, not realizing consciously that the same very difficulties are temporary in nature that will soon disappear in due course of time. The solution is inherent temporary nature of difficulties faced can be overcome by mustering courage. The values highlighted in the poem is we should not lose hope and confidence in times of adversity. Let's look at the poetic devices used in the poem Fog. The first one is metaphor, comparison of fog and cat, their entry, stay, and exit too. The fog and the cat are morphed back into each other. The second poetic device is extended metaphor, comparison done throughout the poem. The next poetic device is personification. Act of sitting and looking personifies fog. The next poetic device is rhyme scheme. There is no rhyme scheme as the poem is written in free verse. The next poetic device is imagery. Fog's coming, sitting, and looking, and its moving on invokes imagery of movement. The next poetic device is transferred epithet, which means haunches are not silent, but the cat enters and sits silently. The next poetic device is analogy. It could be metaphor or personification, comparison of fog to a cat. And the last poetic device is enjambment. The sentence is being continued to the next line without a break throughout the poem.